When I came home from college for the summer, I expected peace, the kind that smells like my dad's coffee and the hum of the old ceiling fan in my childhood room. But everything felt slightly off, like the house had a new heartbeat I didn't recognize. My father had remarried 6 months earlier to a woman named Clara. She was kind, graceful, the type of person who could make anyone feel comfortable. But there was something about her I couldn't quite figure out. Maybe it was the way her eyes lingered on nothing sometimes, or how my father smiled too tightly when she spoke. They both acted fine, even affectionate, but underneath, I could sense a tension that didn't match their words. At tea dinner, Clara would ask about my classes, and my father would pretend to listen while checking his phone. I told myself it was normal. People change, families adjust. Still, one night, I heard muffled voices from their room, low and trembling. My father's tone was sharp, hers was broken. I didn't catch the words, only the feeling, like the sound of a glass cracking but not yet shattering. I turned away, pretending to sleep, but a strange uneasiness settled in my chest. Something wasn't right, and I knew it was only a matter of time before the silence gave way to truth. Over the next few days, I noticed small things. My dad began leaving earlier for work and coming home late. Clara spent long hours sitting on the porch with her phone clutched tightly, staring into the distance. I once passed by and heard her whispering into it, her voice soft but urgent. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about the conversation I'd half heard. The next morning, I found my dad's car gone again, supposedly for a business trip. He'd been traveling more than ever, yet something told me he was running from something, not toward it. Days passed. Then, one night, around midnight, I woke to the sound of quiet sobbing. It came from the kitchen. I walked out, careful not to startle her, but stopped halfway when I saw Clara sitting at the table, a letter in her hand. She was crying, the kind of cry that comes from a place of guilt, not grief. I waited until she went upstairs, then looked at the table. The envelope had fallen, and my name was written on it. Against my better judgment, I opened it. Inside was a photo, Clara and another man. The date written on the back was only a year before she married my father. My hands trembled as I stared at it, unable to process what I was seeing. The next morning, I couldn't look at her the same way. She noticed, of course. After breakfast, when my dad left for work, she asked softly, "You saw it, didn't you?" I didn't answer. She sat down across from me, her eyes red, her hands shaking. "I never meant for you to find out like that," she said. I wanted to be angry, to shout, but all I could do was listen. She told me the man in the photo was my father's old friend, someone from years ago. They'd had an affair before she met my dad, and when it ended, she thought it was buried for good. But recently, he'd reached out again, and she didn't know how to make it stop without revealing everything that I asked her if my dad knew. She shook her head, tears falling again. "I thought I could protect him," she whispered, "and protect you. But lies have a way of finding their way out." For a long time, neither of us spoke. I wasn't sure what I felt: anger, disappointment, pity, or just confusion. She was human, flawed, like everyone else. Yet knowing this secret made me feel complicit. I didn't want to carry her guilt, but somehow, I already was. That evening, when my dad came home, I watched him kiss her cheek like nothing had changed. I couldn't stand it anymore. Later that night, I went to his study and told him everything. He didn't interrupt me, didn't yell. When I finished, he just sat there, silent, his eyes staring past me. Then he said quietly, "Thank you for telling me." He walked out, and for the first time, I heard the sound of a man breaking, not in anger, but in exhaustion. The house changed after that. My father started sleeping in the guest room. Clara moved through the halls like a ghost, saying little, doing less. Meals became awkward rituals. The warmth that had once tried to build between us had turned cold. I found myself avoiding both of them, spending more time outside just to breathe without feeling the heaviness of their silence. One day, my dad called me into his study. He said he'd filed for divorce. There was no hatred in his voice, only resignation. "Sometimes," he said, "people try to build happiness on top of buried pain, but it never stays buried." Weeks passed. Clara left quietly one morning. No goodbye, no explanations. She just vanished, leaving behind her wedding ring and a note that said, "I hope someday you understand." My father never spoke of her again. He focused on work, on routines, on anything that didn't require him to look back. I tried to do the same, but the memory lingered. Months later, I returned to college, but something in me had changed. I'd learned that betrayal doesn't always scream. Sometimes, it whispers through the walls at night, in the pauses between conversations, in the moments people avoid each other's eyes. Love isn't just about loyalty, it's about truth. And once truth is broken, it never fully heals. That I used to think family was about forgiveness. Now, I think it's about awareness, seeing people for who they really are and still choosing what you can live with. I don't hate Clara. In some strange way, I pity her. She carried her guilt like a second skin, and maybe that was punishment enough. As for my father, he never remarried. He told me once, "It's not that I stopped believing in love. I just stopped believing it lasts forever." Sometimes, when I visit home now, I still feel the echo of that summer, the quiet nights, the hidden truths, the way one secret tore through the walls of our home like wind through paper. But I've stopped asking why. Some stories don't end neatly. They just fade, leaving you to live with what's left.